No, tie him up first, then dangle him by the ankles. No, other. Oh, forget it. Hello, welcome to Shelfside Spurs Show, where we don't torture people at all ever, do we?
No, only those that stream on a Thursday night at 7:30.
Yeah.
Henry Wright, we're watching
that's
you.
who's over there. Yeah, absolutely. Nicholas, soon to be departing for Shores American, are you not?
Yes.
What time is your flight again?
3:00 tomorrow afternoon.
Excellent. So you get a good night's sleep beforehand. Fantastic
Maybe.
stuff.
Well, I get now I'm going to get a good day's sleep on the way there, as kindly from the powers that be have been upgraded to business class free of charge. Maybe they heard that they had a big time YouTuber on their plane.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the reason.
I confidently predict that what's going to happen is you're going to get over there, right? And you're going to be discovered, right? And like Troops did with the Scum, you're going to get your own show over there, right? Yeah. Unlike Troops, you're going to be a success over there, and we're just going to say we knew you when. That's what's going to happen. That's what I reckon. Okay, everyone. Who else thinks that? In the comments, tell us if you think that that's accurate. If Nick is going to be a superstar and never come back to these shores again, let us know. Anyway, we have a guest who tonight is going to be doing his White Hart Memory Lane. This man is a man who gives beards tips on how to grow, doesn't he?
Did you say tips or tits?
Column A. Oh, hello. Column A, column
A. Hello. What are you doing?
Sorry about that. That was a mistake. I was just trying to remove it there for a second. Anyway, seriously, he whatever beard this man grows, right, is just a thing of epic proportions, right? I saw him the other day. He'd gone goatee, and it was like, I want that beard. I want that beard. I do. Shall we bring him in?
Yeah, Who are you talking about? I don't know which one. Oh, you're talking about Iggy. Okay.
Yeah. You know, look at him.
Big up, guys.
What's up, Iggy? Good to see you. Long time no see on the Shelfside Spurs Show. How you doing?
Been a while. I'm good. How are you guys? All right?
Yeah.
It's been 48 hours, mate.
Have we signed anyone?
No. That waiter in
Fonzie.
Restaurant. Yeah, Fonzie.
Did you two have a nice romantic meal together?
It was indeed. It was
a nice meal. Yeah. We didn't get stung for 70 quid this time. So
yeah.
It was a lovely dinner for two.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Very nice.
They didn't light the candles though, so we
didn't dim the lights either, but we made do.
But we did see someone, or he saw someone that he thought he recognised, but he still doesn't know who it was.
No, I thought I recognised a lady. I thought she was from a reality TV show. She just had a familiar face, but I couldn't quite work out where I'd seen her.
If Sophie's listening, she did not throw her knickers at Iggy. Don't worry, don't start getting all defensive. We know what you like. Women get protective.
No, but she threw her shoes at him, right?
Yeah. And the baby.
That's happened many a times. So there's no one we do it many a time.
Yeah. Now, we said at the end of last season that there would be news, and that news is that the Shelfside roster is potentially on the verge of expanding. Is it not, man of 1,000 names?
Is it? I don't know.
Well, we are in negotiation to bring someone of real import and power and knowledge and just real gravitas and strength to the Shelfside lineup.
You know what we've done? We're going to upset some people.
That's true. But thankfully, we haven't done that this week. We've got Coover instead.
Yeah. Hold the fort. I like this sort of mediocre sort of comfortableness that I can bring to a show.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's just, you know, there, take it or leave it. It's all
Give the illusion that maybe I might know something, but then just take it away again. It's
yeah.
it's the only way, really. I think
Yeah.
winging it is clearly the ethos of this show and one I believe in very strongly.
Yes, that's right. That's
And
exactly.
I hope to maybe or maybe not add to that tonight.
I mean, it can go either of those two ways. I think that you could add to it or you might not, and I think that you should go with one of them.
I think I should as well.
I think so too. There you go. Fantastic. How are you, Kuva? Also, long time no see on Shellside Spurs Show. How are things? How did the move go?
Things are spectacular.
He's still
The move
moving.
the move is still dragging on because that's what they tend to do. A lot of paperwork and solicitors involved and exchanging of contracts and all sorts of crossing of eyes and other facial deformities.
Yes.
No, I'm waffling already, which seems to be. This is the track I'm going to take for the evening.
Yes.
I think it balances the panel. Like to think we've got Barry and Iggy on one side, and then we've got Waffle Corner on the other side. Perhaps that would be
absolutely right.
That could work. That could work. No, I'm well otherwise. I'm not in the doom and gloom sort of rut that some of the fans will be after an angry cup exit, because I just don't care about that anymore. I'm broken, and I'm just going to enjoy the football no matter what this season.
Amazing stuff.
Can I go? Where's my check?
Yeah, it's in the post.
Oh, right, okay.
In the post. Come on, you know, it's the thing. Anyway, remember, we here on Shelfside Spurs Show, everyone, we don't believe in abusing buttons, right? We don't. All right. We like to care for buttons, and we encourage you to do the same. Yeah. We encourage you to seduce the like and subscribe buttons. Make them purr, make them giggle, make them moan. Do it. It'll be beautiful. Yes, please. If you could, do please drop us a like. Do please comment, guys. Comments, we love it, both in the chat and under the video. If you're not watching live, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. It'll be great. We'll try to respond to you as much as we can. But yeah, do put your things in the chat. And as always, afterwards, we will give you all a shout out, everyone who's in the chat. So thank you. Now, Monsieur le Producer.
Yes.
I believe it's time for Spurs a la this day in history, or the other way around.
On this day à la histoire.
That's the bunny. That's the bunny. What do you have for us?
Well, like we have one for Spurs, we have two for the Premier League on this day, and we have people that were born on this day. So I keep every time. Ben, stop moaning. I made you a mod. If it hasn't made you a mod, I don't know what it's done. So don't start saying you're going to go to war with us. Yeah, we got enough nonsense in the chat already, right? So just chill your beans.
You need to mod yourself here, Ben.
Wrong.
All right?
Wrong. I made you a mod. Right, hang on a minute. Hang on a freaking minute.
Okay. It's kicking off. I've realized that my camera is slightly at a slightly odd angle, so I'm just going to fix that. There we go.
Hang on a minute. The Three Spurs Boys is live. I just got a notification. Surely they're not live. Maybe this was an old notification.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
I'm coming. And I always knew that Big K was the master of all evil in this whole situation.
Oh yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah.
I think
He fits the profile. Yeah, you're right.
It's an old one, so I don't want to offend two people. Obviously, and Bobby K will say it's because he's brown as well, you know. So
yeah, well, it is. Oh, hello. That's a bit
right, where do I go? Customization. See, I don't even know where I'm going to make people mods. So that just goes to show you.
Mm-hmm. That is some top-notch producing you're doing there, mate.
I know it's Ben. Come on, tell me where I go to make you a mod.
Okay.
Iggy, contain yourself.
I need to not upset Ben because
don't ask me about mods and how to become a mod and stuff like that. That's why I'm like quiet. Because
Ben, if you could kindly inform me,
I'm not a mod on a single channel.
No.
Then
So
if you
I
could
couldn't
kindly tell me how to do it, then I will do it. If you're not going to tell me, then tough poopers.
Would you consider being a mod on perhaps Pornhub?
I'd love to.
I'd love to be a mod on Pornhub. That'd be brilliant. I would have so much fun just taking the piss out of people. It'd be great.
Anyway, Ben, we will do this, and then Ben can tell me where I need to go, and then I can stop this nonsense from him because he's had a few sherbets. David, you're welcome to go wherever you like, mate. Thank you for being here. Anyway, Spurs on this day in history.
There you go.
31st of August. On this day in 1946, we fielded 9 products of our pre-war Northfleet United nursery team in a second division fixture with Birmingham. Birmingham.
What was the result?
Don't know, don't care. Sorry.
Good.
That was
Premier League on this day. Ashley Cole, a 2-time winner with Arsenal and a member of the Gunners' Invincible squad, headed across London to join Chelsea, while William Gallas went the other way.
Remember that?
And also, on this day in 2012, we made a signing. Hugo Lloris joins Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs signed goalkeeper Hugo Lloris from Lyon on transfer deadline day. The Frenchman made his Premier League debut in early October against Aston Villa.
Yep,
I remember it could be calling it a day. It could be calling it a day.
One of the few really good transfer windows, if memory serves me correctly. I think we had Moussa Dembele and Jan Vertonghen in that window.
Yeah, that's right.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
And born on this day.
Yes.
Was in no particular order, because you see it's clearly not in order. Cedric Suarez, 1991, Angel Gomez, 2000, Ian Hart in 1977, Pep Reina in 1982, and Derek White in 1968. And what's going on over there, Rez?
I don't know. I just
someone's on their knees, or what was going on?
A pink clad something or other just sort of came up and nicked my vape.
Yes, Stuart. Again, we changed 9 players again. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Hold on 1 sec. Just 1 moment.
This is not going too well, is it? Anyway.
There we go.
While Rez is fingering himself or doing whatever he's doing.
Why would I finger myself?
Some people in the chat.
Yes, we should. I forgot to do that. I'm really not with it today.
I know. It says Kim B hates this show, obviously with David Clark. Ben says Kim doesn't hate this show, and Shelfside Spurs Show says they hate this show.
Yeah.
Stuart hates 5-minute long countdowns. Well, sorry.
Just a question for Stuart. Do you like 5-minute? Do you hate short? Do you like short 5-minute countdowns? Though, because then if you do, we'll do some shorter 5-minute countdowns for you, if that is of interest.
Maybe.
No? Yes.
Mark Cousins is here.
Here's
Outsiders. When will these other channels learn about Thursday nights?
Who's on Thursday nights? Is anyone else on right now?
Henry Wright and the Irish Hotspur, apparently. So
yeah,
as confirmed by Sava's son.
Yeah. See, Sava learnt. Henry Wright hasn't.
Yeah.
Still, what can you do with these people? What can you do with them?
Lots of wicked things.
Stuart has confirmed that he does like short 5-minute countdowns, so we'll do some short ones next week. All right, we'll do short ones from now on. Anyway, so yes, at the weekend on Tuesday, something happened. What happened on Tuesday, guys?
Me and Iggy went for dinner.
You and Iggy went for dinner. What else happened on
the new kit was released?
The new kit was release. That's right.
How many of you will be? How many of you will be buying that very kit? Actually, interesting to know.
Definitely.
What did I say?
Yeah,
What did I say? I said, I hope that kit was chocolate, and I hope we don't melt tonight. Do you remember I said that?
You did say
Do you know
that.
what? Do you know what I like best about Tuesday? I found it so enjoyable.
9 changes.
No, I found it really enjoyable. I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not having a go at you.
So,
But the only reason I say that is because we had, after 2 games, people spouting on about how everything is wonderful again at Spurs. No, things are not wonderful at Spurs.
Get him out.
He sang it all night. He sang that song all bloody night.
And just like that, what happens is that Ange has gone from being the best thing since sliced bread to being the worst thing since sliced bread.
Right.
Okay?
Moldy bread.
Yeah, okay. The problems at Spurs are not going to go away because of Ange Postecoglou, but the problems that Ange Postecoglou faces are not going to go away after 3 games either.
Why not? Why not? It was going so well.
Exactly. You know, after Bournemouth, we were going to win the league. We were going to win the Carling Cup, the Carabao Cup. We're going to win this. We're going to win that. Everything is fine. The chairman is wonderful. I even heard on a different stream the idea that because Mourinho played Michel Vorm, he was to blame for that, even though it begs the question of why the fuck we had Michel Vorm in the squad in the first place. But we digress. We went out, second round of the Carabao Cup. That is the first time that has happened in decades, because it's been 11 years, I believe it is, since we were in at the second round for a start. And second of all, to go out in the second round I don't even know if it's happened before. So, problems.
2005, I think, against Grimsby.
2005, 18 years, nearly 2 decades was the last time we went out in the second round, okay? Things are not fine at Spurs. They're not going to be fine for a while, people, all right? And whether or not Ange Postecoglou is a success does not depend on him. It depends on someone else, yeah? Wake up to that fact, all right? Anyway.
But Rez, come on. You're being really unfair here. We wanted things to change at this club. We've gone out in the second round for the first time in decades.
That's true. Absolutely.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Big up, Lily White. Saturday, Spurs are back. Tuesday, Spurs are back.
Spurs are back. Absolutely. Absolutely. The actual Spurs is back. Okay. So I think a little tempering of the exuberance is definitely needed right now. Okay. Apparently there is noises that things are going to happen on deadline day. It's been a while since that happened properly. But whether or not it does, we don't know. Okay?
I've just thought of another bright thing about what's happened as well. We can now amend one of our favourite songs to "Oh, What a Feeling, What a Night." We don't play any weekday night.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Unfortunately, Kevin, we can't do that because we're playing on a Friday and a Monday in a couple of weeks' time.
I
prefer to count them more as a sort of weekend scruff.
Like a long weekend, like a bank holiday weekend.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You don't play on a weeknight unless it's a bank holiday.
We only play on Saturday because we don't do any cups our way. Something like that. I don't know. That works.
Yeah, we'll work on it, obviously.
We'll work on it. We'll work on the lyrics. Yeah, the scansion needs a bit. Anyway, let's dissect. Okay, so right, Kuva, you can start. Give us your overall thoughts. Don't talk about any individual players if you can avoid it. Just how did you feel watching that? When they went 1-0 up, was that expected? Were you surprised? I personally wasn't. I thought we were flat, uninspiring, and it really did look like the stuff that people complained about under Conte, Mourinho, and Nuno. It was just all backward passes, trap look pass, slow. How did you feel about it?
just showcased exactly why these players are not our first choice players. I agree. This was just players that are stuck in the system of play we had last season and weren't very good at it then either. So absolutely no surprises for me whatsoever. And to be fair, the most lackluster part of the team, which I thought was the midfield, was utterly dominated by a fantastic player in Palhinha. That we could have lost that game even with our first team squad out. That's what I took from it. At the end of the day, it was still a performance that was good enough to draw in 90 minutes, although it was a rubbish game. I don't think Fulham were all that either. They controlled the midfield, but chances wise, it was very poor at both ends of the pitch. Lot of wasted opportunities. Just a generally poor game, not worth watching. And Fulham deserved the win. Even if they didn't get over the 90 minutes, they deserved it over 90 minutes. It would have been kinder not to put Mr. Sanchez through the indignation of having to take the penalty, because didn't see a lot of other people bursting to step up and take that penalty, did we? So-called leaders that aren't there.
That's right. Yeah. There was that rumor going. I don't know how confirmed it is, how viable it is, but yeah, rumors that Sanchez took that penalty because nobody else stepped up.
I can believe that. You watch some of the performances from some of these players, and they always hide away. Big game comes up, big moment comes up, they're not there. I just wish they weren't at the club now either, but we're stuck with them because we can't sell anyone.
Yeah. Iggy, how did you feel about that match? How did you feel watching it?
Listen, from the off, Barry knows as well. From the off, I said I was worried about the amount of changes that we made that night. Not because we're not Man City, where you can afford to make that many changes match by match, but also the fact that we're seeing the same names coming back into the team. And that didn't give me any confidence, particularly at the back where we just kept the only Van der Ven. I felt for him as well. Van der Ven to really cover holes, really cover the gaps, cover the holes that were in defence. How many times he had to cover Davies, who's getting ripped on that? So, and I said to Nick on the night, I mean, you got a Adama Traore that night. How could you put Davies, against them? So, without, like you said, you're not going into the individual. How did I feel? I felt worried as soon as I saw the lineups. The game didn't give me any sort of confidence, particularly in the first half where everyone was so subdued. And I said I wanted at least a couple of changes at half time because it clearly wasn't working after 45 minutes. Then to have Lo Celso come off for Scarlett, I thought to myself, we really are going to throw this game away. And throughout the whole 90 minutes, even when we scored, you had a guy that was off the pitch changing his ripped boot. And that's the only. I'm not sure if we would have scored if that hadn't happened. But just generally, the whole performance was pretty much the same colour as the kit, really. That's why sometimes you fall in love with the kit because it holds certain memories. That kit's not going to hold any good memories for me right now, which is why I can't believe people actually think about buying it. But look, it's disappointing because we're 31st of August and we're out of one cup that I felt we could have done something in this season. But as per always, we don't prioritise cup competition. We don't prioritise Carabao Cup. This isn't the first time. New manager, but same priorities in the cup. That can't come from the managers because we've had 4 or 5 of them who have always equally gave the same importance to cup competitions. 0. So we now have to wait till January for the next cup competition, and God knows how we'll treat that one. But for now, it's going to be 1 game a week, and it's a bit bare. It's a long time coming. But like Kuba said, we'll see a different team against Burnley. We won't have to see same old faces now. That's the only good positive thing I can think of coming out of the cup. Not that I'm in favour of coming out of the cup, but the only favourable thing that certain names that played on Tuesday night, I won't have to see them for the foreseeable future. And let's hope we ship them out as well at the same time.
Nick, you watched the game with Iggy. How did you find it? How did you feel watching that?
The company was great. That was about it.
Excellent. Okay, let's
I
do a little bit.
Nick doesn't want to talk about it.
We'll do the dissection now, very quickly. Just again, anything if there's not much to talk about with that player, by all means, just we'll pass on, but we'll go around the game. So Kuva, Fraser Forster back in the side for the first time since last season. I rate him for what he is, which is a good backup keeper. Anything of note from his performance for you?
Just steady Eddie, isn't he? He did fine. He was 6 out of 10 sort of performance.
Yeah. Any takers on that? Anything else from you guys?
For me, in the match, I thought he was decent. He made a couple of good saves, one right-handed save, and he made another one with his foot on his left foot on the near post, which was a blindish shot. It was a last minute, and he made an instant save. So during the match, I would have said, he was more than sufficient, 6.5. But that penalty shootout for me let him down massively, man. He just kept. It made it too easy for the penalty takers. Went down way too quick. So you have a decent match performance followed by a really meh penalty shootout, and that for me, on the balance of the two things, ended up being a 5 out of 10.
Fair enough. Iggy.
Yes, sir.
Emerson Royale back in the squad. I don't know. I mean. What can you say about Emerson?
For me, what I will say positive about him, he probably was unlucky to lose his place to Porro, because I thought he'd actually done pretty well in the appearances that he had played in. But like a lot of the players the other night, it was just a thoroughly disappointing performance. But his performances are weakened depending on the players that are next to him. There's one thing playing next to Sanchez, another thing playing next to Romero. Same could be said about the others. But yeah, his performances going forward, he wasn't good enough. Defensively, he wasn't good enough. It was a bare, yeah, it was a mere performance. Poro's not going to be losing sleep, put it that way.
Any takers on that?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show the difference having Sanchez, Davis, Højbjerg, and Skip in that team compared to Romero, Van der Ven, Sarr, and Basuma. So, yeah, I think whatever would have happened, Emerson struggled. I know he's my boy. Emerson would have struggled, but Porro probably would have struggled just as much, right? Because he wouldn't have had those players around. What I saw from all of them and what we saw from all of it is, look, it was a team that had not played together, and look, devoid of any cohesion, any playingness together. That's not a word, but anyway.
It is not like it, though.
And it was just disjointed, inept, and it just didn't flow, which was disappointing, because we had I mean, we would have enjoyed ourselves a little bit more, Andrew Gregor, if we'd done a Pornhub watch along instead. I mean, it was quite hard. It was hard. It was very difficult to commentate, and people are going, "Can't you commentate on the game?" Well, there's nothing happening, and it's pretty boring. So I don't know what you want us to say. So yeah.
Yeah, the guy on the right was boring. The guy on the left was boring.
Yeah. The guy on the right was boring. Yeah.
I think
it was hard. It was like pulling teeth. It was like watching Conte ball. That's what it was like watching, and
it was a rubbish watch. It was a rubbish watch, but I agree.
Yeah, I think Barry's right though. There was a definite lack of group together ability.
But you think that these guys haven't played a lot of football, so you thought at least maybe not the chemistry. You might argue won't be on point. Yeah. Some of the passing drills and gameplay might not be on point, but the effort, desire, and the battle comes from within, right? So you'd expect at the very minimum to see that side of it. And I didn't really see much. I didn't see anyone really that felt the urge of wanting to be in that first 11 against Burnley. I didn't get that from. I don't know how you guys saw it, but I didn't get that from anyone.
I did from Van der Ven. I thought he was the best player.
And Van der Ven aside, I mean, he's going to be then, provided he's not injured, of course. He'll be in that first 11. But I'm talking about all the others that are not in that 11. I think. Did anyone really try to be in that first 11 next week? It's on Saturday, rather.
There is one player that I thought did and always does, and this is why I defend him. People are very, very hard on him, but I will defend him, and that's Ben Davies, right? Ben Davies always gives his all, right? He might not have as much ability as others, but he at least does his best, always, right? He did
best isn't good enough.
You can't fault him for effort.
This is Ben Davies. He got absolutely smoked.
It doesn't matter. That's not the point I'm making. It's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is this: if you have to rely on the likes of Ben Davies to get you through cup competitions, and that is essentially the quality that you have, that is where the problem lies. It's no surprise to me that we went out to Fulham. I was fully expecting it. Yeah. The issue here is, why is Ben Davies still in the squad? Not in a bad way, because I defend him for the effort that he puts in, right? But he shouldn't be. We shouldn't have to rely on Ben Davies. Let's say, for instance, whoever it is that we're going to choose as our left back is not available, right? And you have to rely on Ben Davies. This is where the problems at Spurs lie, and this is what we should be concentrating on. I've been saying it for months, for years now, okay? This is a repeat of what was happening with Pochettino. With Pochettino, we had a great starting 11. We don't even have a great starting 11 right now. We have a decent starting 11. He had a great starting 11. But beyond that, it was very poor. The bench was weak. And that is what we still have. So this idea that things have changed at Spurs is completely false. All we have done is gone back to a period where we were still not fully formed, right? And that is the problem for me. But getting back to individual players, Nick, talk to us about Davinson Sanchez and that penalty.
Well, look, as soon as he walked up, I think everyone knew that he wasn't gonna take it. I think as much praise that you gave Ben Davies there, he should have put his hand up and said, "I'm taking a penalty." We don't know who was going to be fifth. It was either going to be him or Højbjerg. So one of them was getting nonsense for not stepping up sooner, because they should have done. The leadership team or whatever that they should have been on, or in. Then that's fine. But they should have put their hands up. There's no real. You're not expecting Sanchez to go on and bang it in the top bins or what have you. So, look, I think if it had gone in, fine. We would have been surprised. It didn't. We weren't surprised. He stood up, took a penalty. Fair play to him, and that's really it. I think the other more sort of senior players. It was the third penalty, right? And the third penalty is important, regardless of where you're taking it, but especially if you go in second, because then they can then create that gap, and then you're always fighting your way back. And so for me, fair play to him for doing that. Again, we know what we get with Sanchez. Obviously at fault for that first goal, but yeah, another day. That deflection of Van der Ven, it doesn't go in. But look, Fulham had enough chances in terms of the overall game. They could have been 2 or 3-0 up at half time. If we'd won that game or gone through, let's just say, on penalties, then we would have stolen that tie. We didn't deserve it on the night. So, yeah, we, as Spurs like to say, we move.
Yeah, we don't though, do we? We don't.
No. We do move, because we moved from Fulham back to N17. That's what they mean.
That's right.
By we moving, I think. I don't think they mean we move house or wherever we move.
So the fact that Davinson Sanchez is taking a penalty, again, what do we make of that, gents?
Well, he was always going to miss, wasn't he? As already said, I think the fact that he's at least got the kahunas to stand up and take the penalty is to his credit. If nobody has got the guts to do it, your captain should come forward and take a penalty. Otherwise, they are not worthy of being a captain. They have got to lead by example in those situations. If there's absolutely nobody else, captain better delegate them, because it's got to happen one way or another. So I don't blame him for missing a penalty, because he shouldn't be in a situation where he's got to take it. Yeah. That's your sort of ninth choice penalty taker when you're running out of options. So no blame on him there. I think for the first half, though, shaky, very unsettled, grew into it a little bit after the half time, and was improved in the second half. But again, just like Emerson Royale, just like Ben Davis, a lot of effort there, but very little talent to go with it. It shows.
The thing for me, the thing for me is like, sometimes you gotta read the situation. He didn't have the best of games. He had done well against.
Sorry to interrupt, but Phil P is in the house, so everyone has to go. Woo!
I haven't got the range, but woo!
There we go. Carry on. Sorry.
What I would say is, like, he hadn't had the best of games, and he done well against Barcelona. He done well coming on really cold for Romero against Brentford. He done that well, and maybe the mindset again for him, for some of the fans, had changed, thinking, okay, maybe he is a reliable backup. But then seeing him on Tuesday night made me think, or certainly didn't surprise me. It just made me think the old Sanchez is now back. That was for the whole 90 minutes. He didn't have a really good game. But again, I'll say it again, it could be said for a lot of the players. Coming to the penalties, though, I'm in line. I'm in line with what Kuva said. I get feedback.
Oh,
do you guys get feedback?
No?
Yep.
Are you?
Yeah. Something's happened.
Better?
Yeah, I can still hear it.
Yeah.
That's
better.
Yeah, it's better.
Can't
now.
hear Reds either, which is an added bonus.
Yeah. Anyway, what were we saying?
No, all I would say in regards to the penalty. It's back again.
Hold on.
So in regards to the penalty, all I will say is, like, I'm in line with what Kuva says. He showed cojones, man. At the end of the day, any player that steps up for your team to take a penalty, that is you cannot. You look at the players that are going up and you think, are they your best? Are they your best five? Are they your best five penalty takers? Is there anybody else that should be there instead of that player? And you look around, and you guys are right. With the exception of the fifth player, would it Højbjerg? Would it have been Davis? Would it have been whoever else? We had Sarr on the pitch. We had, we had other players on the pitch that could have stepped up in his place. He stepped up, took it. Didn't look very confident taking it. But you know what really annoyed me the most about the whole thing? What really annoyed me the most about the whole thing is that Sanchez is in the firing line as it is. He has been. He's been targeted by fans. He's been targeted by a lot. Why would you then, given that situation that he's in, given that he's already in the firing line amongst a massive crowd, massive numbers of Tottenham alone, why would you then put him in the firing line and then the penalties? If it goes great, you're thinking, oh, this is genius. But if it doesn't, it's like, he's got another thing to contend with. On top of his performances, on top of being in the firing line, he's now got to contend with the fact that he's the one that missed the penalty. That wasn't very, very, very clever thinking when selecting him to take the penalty. if there was no one else and someone had been injured and there was no one else, it's like, do you know what? Put him in the 5th penalty taker. You got your first 4 best penalty takers there, and then he takes the 5th, and what will be will be. But to do that in a critical point on a penalty shootout for me was wrong, and now it's just like, put him again on the firing line. I don't know what the thought process was there. I don't know why the leaders didn't step up before him, because for me, you guys are right. I've seen Højbjerg take penalties for Denmark in a penalty shootout. I've seen, Davies is captain that night. They should be stepping up and say, you know what, Sanchez, get yourself out of there. Be the 6th penalty taker if needed. Let us take this one here, because you know what, we've got a little bit of credit amongst the Spurs fans, more than you anyway. So if we'll take this one here, that's how I saw it.
Yeah, so that also speaks to this. Again, another thing that we kept hearing from the knee-jerkers is, oh, I love the unity. I love the spirit. What unity? I haven't seen it. I've seen players celebrate with each other when they score a goal. That's not unity. That happens at every bloody goal. I saw it under Conte. I saw it under Mourinho. I saw it under Nuno. I've seen it under Pochettino. I saw it under Andre Villas-Boas, under Redknapp. Stop projecting shit that isn't happening because you want to believe that something has changed, is my view of that, right? That for me is unity. If you really believe in your team, you help each other out. Yeah. And it seems like we're not doing that. And this leadership group that exists, I have deep problems with at Spurs, deep problems with. As far as I'm concerned, the only leadership group there should be the captain and the vice captain. That's it. And they don't need to do anything. They are already, other than what a captain and a vice captain do. Yeah? None of this bollocking around with leadership groups. This is football. It's not a fucking committee. Right? Dyer was in that goddamn leadership group last season. Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know. Fuck off the leadership group. The only leadership group that really we should have is the manager. Yeah, he is the one that directs. That's the leadership group. Bollocks to the rest of it.
I don't think we do though, Rez. I think it's just Maddison, Son, and Romero. No, now
potentially, possibly. If that's the case, fine. Yeah, but again, where were they? Where were they? Son was on the pitch. Yeah, he should have been directing everything. Not letting Sanchez step up when others wouldn't. If you don't want to take a penalty and you're better than Sanchez at slotting goals in, if you don't want to take a penalty, tough shit, you're taking a penalty. And this goes back to me questioning whether Sonny is captain material, because he's popular. I like him. He's a very likable person. But he does not, in my view, have the gravitas to be that kind of kick them up the arse leader, which is what we need at Spurs. We need someone who will grab people by the scruffs of their necks and tell them what they are to do. Yeah? Not be everyone's friend. A leader is not the same as your best mate, in my view. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I will say it, and Iggy said it on Tuesday night. I will not call for Son to be dropped, to be benched, for Perisic to play, to Solomon to replace Kulusevski. I after seeing that performance, there's no one in their right mind will be doing that, because the best that we have is, for me, Son down the middle, Kulusevski on the right. I don't really care who's on the left, but I'm not going to be calling for all those people that were calling for Son to be dropped, Kulusevski to be dropped. Then we saw on Tuesday that is not the answer, because we just don't have people there.
We can't. We don't have it. We don't have the strength in depth. We don't have the strength in depth. Yeah.
The thing
for me, I would still play Sonny, even with his lack of form. I still would consider playing him in every single game, because
the technical level, the baggage is far superior than any other the other guys that started there. You can see in the lineups, the guys that started there. But any of those subs, if you look at it, you've got Scarlett that came on at half time, you've got Sarr there that came on in the second half. If any of those two players had taken the place of Sanchez and missed, we wouldn't be talking about it in the way we are against Sanchez, because you think, you know what, Scarlett's a kid. You would have graced him. Sarr, do you know what? At least he had the balls to go up and step it. So what? We wouldn't. We wouldn't. But Sanchez, because of the history behind it that he's already got with it's just another one and another nail in the coffin for him. And do you know what? Yes, he's not the best player in the world. Yes, he's he's not good enough. And we can say that from a technical point of view. We can say all of it. But do you know what? From a human point of view, you're thinking, do you know what? That's another, as we say in North London, that's another fuckeries they've done on him. And that's just completely, it was completely uncalled for. There was no need for it to put him in the firing line when everyone else has got so many more lives to spare compared to him. It's probably on the 9th already now.
So, new boy, Mickey van der Ven, Couva, a bit of a wobble. He's not started terribly, but he's had a few things to be expected for a player who's basically arrived a couple of days before the season started and was thrown straight in.
Yeah, I think under the circumstances, I think he's done really well. Against Fulham, outstanding performer on the pitch for us. By a mile, by an absolute mile. Looks a first team player all the way. Bit unlucky with own goals, with an own goal. I mean, but that is what happens when you're a defender and you get in the right place to try and affect the play. Sometimes the luck doesn't go your way and the ball will go in. All top central defenders get their share of own goals. It's just a part of the game. Something to do with the ball being round and unpredictable at times, isn't it? So yeah, nothing there. I can speed this up as well because I was going to ban Højbjerg, Skip, and Lo Celso all into one summary.
Okay, we can do that.
Where were they? That would do it for me.
Well, we'll come round to that. You can do that. We'll come. You'll get the chance to do that. We'll come to that.
Otherwise, no complaints on Van der Ven. I think he's a smashing player, and I think we're going to do really well with him.
Any further thoughts, guys?
No.
Okay.
For me, it was the best player of the night. Sorry. For me, it was the best player on the night.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know what? An absolute asset. I can see this guy becoming even better. He already has the presence. He has leadership qualities, and he's really comfortable on the board. This guy has been a really good signing.
Yeah, can see him and Romero as our central defence partnership for the next 7 or 8 years if we're lucky.
Very quickly before we move on to the next player, I think everyone, I would like to give a shout out to a new viewer who's not watched the show before, but they're very much a fan. My mum. Hi, Mum.
Hello, Mummy.
There you go. You might hear a squeal of delight just coming from the thing because we're at her house today. Iggy, talk to us about Ben Davies.
Struggled on the night. I was worried about his presence. Down the side where Adama Traore was playing. And for me, he struggled. Absolutely struggled all night. And for me, he had a torrid time. It was a terrible selection to be playing him against somebody who's physically stronger than him, faster than him. And it caused Van der Ven to really leave his position quite a numerous amount of times to try and cover and keep up pace with Adama Traore. And when that was done, they brought Wilson on, who gave him another torrid time.
Yeah.
Just hasn't got the legs, hasn't got the physical presence. But you know what? He just you see that when he plays on the left-hand side, and I saw it at Brent when we played Brentford last home game of the season, I was there. They targeted him in that second half and ripped us up a new one with him and Longley playing that same side. And I felt the same thing was happening. And the difference this time that Van der Ven did Longley is that he covered him numerous times. So for me, I respect the player. I respect the man. Like you rightly say, he does give his all. I don't think he holds back ever. So I agree with you when you say that part. But when you say he gives his best, it's just what we require. His best is simply
It's
no
not good enough.
longer good enough, and that for
Absolutely.
me is why he cannot be in this team moving forward. And we need to keep the likes, not just keep but play consistently. Udoji, who looks for such a young kid, he's got real older, old shoulders, and he combines the attacking and the defensive side of it really well. So for me, it's we should be getting rid of these players. I'm sorry to say, man. I know they've been a long time, but Davis, Dyer, Sanchez, we got to get rid. We got to get rid and move on.
Some breaking news. Serge
Talking to left backs.
Talking to left backs. Serge Reguilon to Manchester United. Here we go. Verbal agreement in place with Tottenham on a loan deal. There will be a clause to break the loan deal in January. I guess this is in case of Luke Shaw coming back. So, yet again, I think we're up to 5 loans now. We can have a maximum of 7. Another player that we cannot get out of this football club. So,
man, that's some deal for him, isn't it? Going to Man United.
Yeah.
It's not for Man United, though, is it?
No, it's not.
No.
So we're going to start rattling through a bit faster. Kuva, just talk to us about the midfield.
Wasn't there. Skip has shown time and time again, and this highlighted it more than usual for me. All he can do is run around and throw himself into a tackle. Sometimes it's wild, gets himself booked. There's nothing else to his game. Not impressed. Højbjerg doesn't turn up at all. Second half, he vaguely sort of turns up. Of the 3, Højbjerg, Skip, and Lo Celso at least looks technically sound, but he didn't do an awful lot. He was disappointing, bang average sort of thing, to coin a phrase that some of the YouTubers like. Otherwise, non-functioning midfielders completely destroyed by one man.
That's nice.
My man. Yeah, I mean, it was again. We keep coming back. It's like a broken record, right? We play Sarr and Basuma, and everything's rosy. As soon as one of them steps out, and I had big hopes for Skip, but he seems to be going down a different path, seemingly. Any takes? Any other thoughts on the midfield?
For me, the Skip, I would keep. He's a squad player, nothing more. I think he can definitely, if you put it in the context of the first team that have been playing the last 3 games, Skip would hold his own with that team. In this team where we made mass rotation, it didn't quite work because he's not complemented by players around him. He needs the likes of Bissouma and Maddison to really hold his own, which he did in the friendly games. So moving forward, though, I think Sarr is better. He gives us the cocktail of the 3 works better with Sarr, with Maddison and Bissouma. It's a lot better than when Skip is there. However, I would still keep Skip. But the other, Højbjerg's been involved in a transfer deadline, sort of moving away, so he's gone. He's gone. The fact that he didn't take a penalty, the leadership in him was non-existent. He was non-existent pretty much the whole match. I don't remember anything decent that he did in the game. So for me, that's done into that. Lo Celso, I was surprised because I thought he would actually take that opportunity and do really well. But I could hear in the microphones on the other night, I could hear Ange Postecoglou shouting at him for the whole 45 minutes. So there's clearly something that tactically is not getting right. That Ange Postecoglou is not happy with his performance. And you're right, Kuv. His performance wasn't the best, and I was disappointed because I thought if anything, he should be pushing Maddison or even looking to be playing alongside Maddison because he's good enough to be in the first 11. That 45 minutes left me subdued. The fact that he took him off. Was it the first one to take off at that 45 minutes? That means Postecoglou really wasn't happy with him. I don't know where that kind of leaves him because we know he's technically a valid player, but I don't know. I don't know his attitude. I don't know, guys.
I heard a statistic to back that up. What we're just saying with I heard that he ran 1.4 kilometers less than the next worst player in terms of work rate.
Well,
that comes down to attitude.
There's a
It's not
lot.
ability.
There's a lot. Yeah,
That is the lot.
Yeah. That's right. So, I want to leave him till last. What about guys? Free for all, if you like, or a free open discussion. The attack, other than Richarlison. So we're talking Scarlett, Sonny, Kulusevski, I guess Perisic to an extent. I mean, I'm going to go out a little bit on a limb here, and I think we've looked a little bit toothless. And I guess it's no surprise because our most dangerous tooth is now in Germany.
Yeah.
What can be done to solve that slightly blunt? Right. Is
Go on the transfer market.
Johnson the answer to that?
Can buy a new player. We haven't got it in the squad. We have to. I'll sound like a broken record because I say it pretty much every day now. We need to get a minimum of 2 players in before the transfer deadline market closes, and that's regardless of how many we ship out. We need 2 quality players, one for the back and one in the forward line, because you're right. The goals. Everybody's going to have to chip in with the goals because we can't solely rely on this number 9 that we got. But we also have to have some sort of threat. You're right. There's nothing. If I was 2 centre backs playing on the opposition, wouldn't be worried about our attack right now. In regards to the other 2 fellas that played in the wide areas, Perisic and Solomon, I honestly don't think. Same case as what I said about about the others. They won't have Son and Kulu really have nothing to worry about. I do think we should have players that push Son and push Kulusevski because they also need to bring more into the game. But when you see the differences of when they came on compared to the ones that were already on, you saw the technical differences and you saw the difference in just having them on the play, just getting into it, and I felt that straight away with their presence, just their presence on the pitch. So that tells you that what we're talking about, these 2 guys coming in for those 2 guys, we need to get better. These Perisic and Solomon are nothing more than impact players for me. It sounds bad to say. I think they can start here and there every so often to give the others a breather. But when you come in, to select the first 11, particularly given the fact that we're going to be playing Saturday to Saturday all the way up to January, with the exception of 1 or 2 games in league games in midweek, I think the team now, honestly, makes itself. It really does pick itself.
Okay. And finally, he scored, but he also missed a lot. Richarlison. Is this going to be as big a mistake as Roberto Soldado for Spurs, guys? What are your thoughts on Richarlison? Bear in mind, and I keep saying it, the guy is a Brazilian international, a full Brazilian international. Is there any hope for him?
No.
I
think you look at his technical ability, it's shocking. Can't control the ball. He can't use him as a target man. He doesn't link up play. He can't join in with passing movements. His awareness is terrible at times. If he's not constantly offside, he's doing things, parts of the game that you'd expect from anybody. He got from Iniesta a work rate. I mean, but look at the difference in player. I think he's a poor player. I've tried to big him up and give him the benefit of the doubt and thinking, at least he's prepared to be brave and stick his head in where it hurts, and he could be offer something as a target to pick out in the box. But he's just been awful. He's just a poor footballer. I don't think we should be seeing players like this in our team. We see far too many of them. He's got a great attitude. He works hard. This is what you say of players that come up in struggling teams that are going to get relegated. This isn't the sort of player you need in a team that's pushing for Champions League football and hell, trying to win a trophy. That'd be something. You're not going to do it with Richarlison.
No.
He's a mediocre player all the way through his Fulham career. What were we expecting? Perhaps if he could manage just to replicate his Everton career, and scored 10, 12 goals in a season, that'll be something. But I'm not seeing it. He stands out like a sore thumb, and goal or not, he's not going to keep doing it. Does anybody believe he'll score in the next game as well? Because I sure as hell don't. That leaves us desperately short, and I think he's quite right in saying I'm quite happy to. I can tolerate even Davinson Sanchez coming in to cover the defence if it meant we go and get an attacking player like Fatty would have been perfect. I think he would have done absolutely perfectly for us for one season. Bundle of tricks, great technical ability, chips in with goals and creates them. I think that would have been great for us. But I think if you haven't, to go with that, we get linked with him, and people will say, "Oh, he's overhyped and everything." But Gift Orban, he just smashes the ball in the net on a regular basis all the time. You need somebody with that kind of confidence to come into the team. We do not have that right now. To answer the question, is he our next Soldado? I think he's worse.
Just to address what David said, I'm not slagging Soldado, but Soldado was a mistake for Spurs. Yeah. Soldado was a great player, but he was a mistake for Spurs. And we actually knew it before we bought him, that he was not, that he played in a particular system and did very well in that. Right? He was, as you say, a top target man, but we weren't playing with that system when we bought him. Again, bad scouting. So it was a mistake that we made to buy him. That's not a slagging off of Roberto Soldado. And likewise, I don't necessarily slate Richarlison. I don't. The issue with Richarlison is that it might be he's the wrong player for us. So it's a mistake on our part, not on his. And the question becomes, is Brennan Johnson the answer? Now, we're a club that used to go out and buy the Aussies of the world. I know he's a midfielder. The Ricky Villas, yeah? We had the likes of Hoddle and Gascoigne. I know we're going back a few years. We had the Berbatovs of this world. We had the Robbie Keanes, the Jermaine Defoes, the Teddy Sheringhams, the Archibalds, the Crookses, right? Why are we still, no disrespect to Brennan Johnson, but why are we looking at that level? Why aren't we looking at Gift Orban, for instance?
Because of homegrown, that's what we're looking at. Because in a few years' time, we've got nothing.
Any club that knows its business and does its scouting properly will do for that. They will be able to make compensation for that.
This homegrown thing, though, it's not. I don't believe it's an issue for this season because we've had Harry Kane going out, Maddison's come in, so.
Yeah.
Not for this season, no, Iggy. But next season, it's a potential issue.
But that's something that we can work on. We need to really evaluate what's going on in our academy, and we should be looking. That's where you get your homegrown from the academy. Why spend so much time? Why spend all this money on the academy? The state of the art. You've been down the Hotspur way. I have as well. I don't know if you boys have as well, but we've been down it. It's a state of the art. I mean, there should be the last players that have come through that academy are who? Skip and Kane, Winks. Like, how many years? Why? And look what's happened. Mismanagement on Tanganga as well, because he shouldn't have gone down the route that he has. But here we are. But look, I think if we really listen, for me, they can scrap that whole academy. If they're not going to bring any players through, they should just scrap the whole thing and use the money to buy to do something else. But moving on. Sorry.
Because from what I hear, Iggy, and you've probably heard this as well, the coaches, the academy coaches, are just a bunch of yes men, and there's not enough of them, and all they do is basically do what the hierarchy tells them, and they don't care. It's not about developing.
You know who meddles. You know who meddles a lot with that whole. That he separates the two things. Academy is one thing, and the first team is another. And when you got somebody that's not football competent or competent, rather, is not competent in the football side of things, and he's meddling with that, and not hiring and not getting involved the players that the people that should be doing it. then we have a real problem. But we're not going to get into all of that right now.
Yeah.
In merit of Richarlison, look, I grew when you said a Brazilian international. What I grew up, and I'm a little bit old. I'm in my mid-40s, and my, I remember my first memories of Brazil's forwards: Zico, Antonio Careca, Bebeto, Ronaldo, Adriano. We've gone from these guys, and now we're talking about Richarlison. So it tells you the level of Brazil, as great as they are, their level has gone down because look at the players I've just mentioned. Enough to make your mouth Romario. Enough to make your mouth water when you think we're just talking about these players, and then you put Richarlison in that same breath because he's now the number 9 from Brazil. This is what we're talking about now. Richarlison, look, on Tuesday, what I did see him do better is that his hold up play, linking back to goal, his chesting it, bringing, playing it about. It was a lot better than what I've seen. But he does all these things, always falling on the floor. Just petulancies. His head drops too often. His body language, his demeanor completely changes when a couple of things he's not pulling off don't come for him. So he's definitely got the pressure on him. He's feeling the pressure and he's acting out on that pressure. And like I said, the goal that he scored came about because the guy when he picked up, he had broken his boot and he had to go and get it off, in the change room. So, listen, I worry. I said it all the time. I'm worried that come 31st or 1st of September when it closes tomorrow, the window's shut and that's all we got. We've only got him. Scarlett, I believe, has moved on loan. So we've got an unknown in Veliz. It concerns me because until January, if this guy does not start picking up some sort of form, I don't know where we're going to be. Relying on his goals, which are not forthcoming. I don't know. The Bournemouth, that chance he had where he could have taken it first time, he's trying to go around the goalkeeper, taking 2-3 extra touches before he buries it. And you're like, what are you doing? This is your Brazil's number 9. This should be bread and butter for you. It does worry me. It does worry me. Son playing number 9. I've been hearing this a lot. Son playing number 9 is fine when your main striker is out, like Kane was, and we know Kane is out. We're thinking, well, Son will have to do. And when you say Son will have to do, that means the pressure is not as much on him because your main man is out. So you've got no choices but to go with Son. But to actually have Son as the number 1 choice of your number 9, I agree that perhaps he should be playing more through the middle as a second striker, maybe, but as a number 9 to lead our forward line to get us the goals right up until January, where perhaps we may reinvest in January. I don't know, guys. I'm seriously worried that we're not getting a striker in. I think we're going to pay the price in this one because I don't see Richarlison. I don't know, unless some sort of miracle happens and he goes to Lords and they dink him in the water there and comes back all fresh. I don't know where these guys are going to come from. I really don't. A trip to Lords wouldn't be a bad shout, though.
No. Right. So, any last thoughts on the game, very briefly, because we need to move on to things memory lane-ish. Any last thoughts, guys?
We move. as Barry said,
easily forgettable.
We move again. One I want to forget fast.
So this week we brought Iggy along because, in addition to a magnificent beard, you've been a Spurs fan for a long time, haven't you, Iggy?
Not as good as his, but
I
have.
Sorry, just a sec. Kuva has a spectacular beard. You have a magnificent beard. Yeah, it's two very different things. Yeah, I have an adequate beard. Yes. Iggy, it is time for your White Hart memory lane. How long have you been a Spurs fan, Iggy? First off,
right. Listen, I've never made. I lived in Italy, as you guys. I think I've said this many. I lived in Italy. I moved here when I was probably near 8-9 years old. So my first memories of even knowing of Spurs was probably late 80s, early 90s, vaguely. We moved to a house that was indeed in Tottenham called Ruskin Road, which was round the corner from the stadium. And my first memory, this is the first this is the first time I'd ever went to White Hart Lane. We moved, and obviously I was an AC Milan, an avid AC Milan fan. Everybody knows this, but I've never made a secret of it. I was an AC Milan fan. Came over here, and out every Saturday, I was be going on my bike, and I could hear, back then used to park wherever there was space. Loads of Spurs fans would be, and I could see this white shirt, Holston. I was intrigued. I thought, where's this going? And I started following the fans where the stadium was, which wasn't very far. I was probably around 11, 12 years old at the time. And I was intrigued, and I thought, I want to go into that stadium. But it was at the height. It was just on the back of that European ban, if you guys remember, and hooligans and all of that. My mum was petrified of me going, so I couldn't actually. Gary Lineker and Gascoigne were playing there. I could hear the roars of the crowd when they were right from my bedroom. That's how loud it was when Spurs would score. And I thought, I really want to go to that stadium. I had it for many years. So anyway, in 1993, in April 27, I always thought it was the Ajax when Gascoigne moved to Lazio, and they'd done a similar thing with Ajax and Real Madrid, I believe, came to town. It was a summer tournament. It was that same year. And I always thought that was the first time I've been there, but I was so gassed about seeing Gascoigne, even in the Lazio shirt, that I think I must have raised this off my memory. I remember seeing Inter Milan, and I thought this was one of the matches that we played when Gascoigne first moved to Lazio, and great kits. And I bought that shirt as well when he moved there, and I remember seeing Inter Milan. So in the one with the Inter. Is the it was a Fiorucci Cup. I think it was Inter sponsors a Fiorucci Cup, and all the players from the 1990 World Cup. Inter had Mateus, Klinsmann, Bremer, Schilacci, Ruben Sosa, all players that I'd seen in that World Cup were there at White Hart Lane, and I was at what is now the South Stand behind the goal with one of the friend of the family who had taken us there. Because otherwise my mum, even at 15, wouldn't allow me to be in there. And from then, I started seeing all these great players in the Spurs shirt. 1993, we had a really good side. It wasn't the greatest in the league. You can imagine the early 90s what we were like. But you know what? It was just an aura about Spurs then. And from then, I then went to the summer one, which was the Lazio when Gascoigne was there. And then from there, slowly, I started to go in more and more games. It was great. You can go on match day, Rez. And me and my brother went there with our bikes, okay? We got to the turnstile, paid for the ticket. We rode our bikes in. And we would put our bikes down. It was a summer. So it wasn't full out stadium because people were on holiday and what have you. And me and my brother, whilst the game was going on, would just have a race around the stadium, just like because there was no seats, you'd be able to run around. It was great fun, and I loved that stadium. I missed the Tottenham, the old White Hart Lane.
Yeah.
But that was my first memories of being inside the stadium, 1993.
Excellent. First proper home game. What was that? What was the first time? And do you remember the score?
First home game. I think it was a derby. It was a derby that I went to.
Oh, wow.
It was a Arsenal, it was Spurs Arsenal. It was a few years after that actually. It was a few years because we was moving about a lot at the time. I went back there. I think it was a 2-2. The first game, I think the first memory, other than those games I just mentioned, it was Arsenal. It was a 2. I think it was a 2-2, if I remember correctly. Because I've been to a few games now. It was a long time ago. I can't remember what year it was though. Forgive me. I should have probably looked it up. It was a 2-2 game, and I believe it was Van Persie that scored that day. It was quite a few years later. I didn't go back to an official game because you couldn't get that. These games will sell out. And I always said I wanted the first game to be a North London derby. I always said I want to grow up. I want to go and watch it. And it was North London. I think Van Persie and Kane, I believe, scored in that game. If I remember correctly. That was my first game, though. North London derby.
The first away game.
Away. Fulham. We played Fulham at Craven's Cottage. I think it was like a really boring. It was a boring game. I think it was a 0-0 game. But yeah, I loved Craven Cottage. I still do. I still love that stadium. I know we've just been speaking about Fulham, but I love that stadium. And whenever I can go, I do get to go.
It's like a pavilion next to the river.
Yeah, it was just a great feel. I loved going to that stadium. That was my first Fulham away. Was my first game away.
Excellent. First Spurs shirt, and did you have a number and or a name on it?
No names at the time. There was no names. It was the Hummel kit. Hummel kit. No number. There was no number on it. But the first memory of it was obviously when I got. I think the first Spurs shirt I may have bought with a number on it was Ginola.
Okay.
With a number on it. Without numbers, there was loads, but the Hummel kit, and I had the Hummel tracksuit, the shell suit one. It was a blue, it was navy blue, purple. Do you remember the purple one on the side? Hummel. I had that. It was a proper shell suit. You could hear me walking from miles away all the time, and you could sweat loads in it. You had
to avoid smoking as well because you could go up in flames.
It would go up in flames. But the shell suit Hummel tracksuit I lived in. First memory is the Hummel shirt. My first memory of watching that was probably the 87 final against Coventry. We lost 3-2 with that Gary Mabbott one that floated in. I was broken. I was so upset that day for him. And we had I think Clive Allen scored 47 goals that season, 49 goals.
49,
ridiculous.
Coventry had a fan magazine. I don't know if it's still going or not, but they had a fan magazine called Gary Mabbott's Knee. Because essentially that won them the FA Cup, their only trophy.
Unbelievable.
So, favourite all-time Spurs player?
Well, I know. Favourite. This is tough because, see, Hoddle had just left to go Monaco. When my first memories of Spurs, he had just left. Waddle was a massive favourite of mine. I really loved Waddle, and obviously Clive Allen was really good. I know you're saying one. I know you're going to bring me that to one, but the one that made me feel, the one that drew me in.
You can talk about who your favourite. Spurs
favourite. My first memory, Waddle with that number 8. Waddle with that number 8 was just sublime. Clive Allen was just an animal that season. But the one, I think my first memories of obviously the 1988 Euros when Holland won the Euros, but the 1990 World Cup, I became completely like football just grabbed me by both arms and said, "Football is for you." And that summer, I fell in love with Paul Gascoigne, and he's the reason why I then went back to Spurs and I started following as many matches I could follow. And I remember the one cup game where he scored a penalty with like a Rabona. It was a Rabona. I think it may have been Oxford. Do you know what? And he was just great to watch. He was worth the price of the ticket alone. And I don't remember the last time. Maybe Van der Vaart when another player that I really loved. Ginola was another. Ginola, well, that was a rubbish Tottenham at the time. It wasn't the greatest Tottenham. But certain players would wear our shirt and they became the real ticket. Why you would spend the money to go and watch certain players. He was another one. Klinsmann, when we signed him, was awesome. But yeah, Gascoigne was the reason.
David is showing his age here.
David Mackay, yeah. Listen, I'm 40. Yeah, Dave's a little bit older than me. I've heard all about these guys. Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gascoigne was the one that got me hooked at Spurs.
Which Spurs team was your favourite, or which period of Spurs supporting Spurs was your favourite?
Obviously, the 91, the one like FA Cup in 91 was a pretty special team. That in the cups anyway. That was a great run, and the Arsenal semi-final for me. Still, I remember it really well. That was a special team. That was quite fresh as well at the time for me. But when I think of more recent time, it's hard not to think that Pochettino one was pretty special, man. Pretty special for that the year for me that we went unbeaten at home. That we
Oh, yeah.
played some amazing football, and that think about, we're just talking when I was a kid, and now I'm talking about when I'm a pure full grown man. That season at home in the last season of White Hart Lane was pretty damn special, and I'm gutted that they should have won something that season. I'm just gutted that they didn't, because that team was a great side, unbeaten all year at White Hart Lane. Say what? That was a great side.
Proper
Brilliantly
fortress.
balanced, exciting, full-backs, midfield was strong, at the back was strong, Luis in his prime, Kane scoring goals, Son, just everything, that had everything. And yeah, that was the best team, the most consistent team I've seen at Tottenham play really good football. I loved watching them every week.
So on your travels, which away game really stands out? UK away game, not European. So is there one that lives in your memory that was like, that was a great, it doesn't necessarily have to be a win, could even have been a loss, because we've had plenty of those, but just a good day away to watch Spurs?
Okay, the most recent one, and we had a really good day by the result, of course. The Man United away was actually a really good day. Barry was there with me. I want to pick a more recent one. We were last season. We went to Old Trafford. Everything about that day was just going up there was just awesome. And then the match started, and that was the end of that. But but you know what? For a Spurs fan, you'll find that a lot of these games, it's the journey, the fans. That you know what, the Spurs fans, when they go away, man, it's special. It really is. I cannot put to words. If you guys haven't experienced a match going away with the Spurs lot, it is next level stuff, and they deserve. And again, Tuesday night, I heard them in full voice. Those fans deserved a lot more than what they get. And you know what's great about them? It doesn't matter what happens, they will be there the following away game and the one after that, and up and down the country, loud and proud. And you always hear them through your TVs if you're watching them. They are awesome. So for me, look, more than the actual game itself, it's the experience of being amongst the away crowd that I fully enjoyed. I did it at Wolves, I did it at Man United. Ironically, all defeats. Do you know what I mean? Last season, but I'm hoping, but with Postecoglou, to experience new experiences, because his way of football, and I agree with what he said earlier in the stream, he just wants to see good football, and I think we're going to see that. Be it win, lose, or draw, we will see a lot better football, and that's what I'm looking forward to most. Yeah, away, yeah, but yeah, results wise, probably I say the 4-4 away to Arsenal was pretty special. That was a good away game, and I never go to the Emirates. I hate going to the Emirates, but that was a good night.
It sucks. It sucks. So obviously last season, Spurs in the Champions League played your Italian team, AC Milan, and you've been around Europe for away games before.
Yeah,
it could be that one, but are there any which European away day really stands out in your memory?
Watching the game?
No, being at the game.
Being at the game. Do you know what? Again, the Milan away last season, the fans were incredible. You could hear them. I mean, they were right at the top, but you could hear him full voice. He was brilliant. The fans were brilliant that night, and actually Spurs didn't play that badly that night. They were actually decent. I remember Sarr and Skip doing a really good job in midfield. For me, Milan going to San Siro was always special, and we've had some great nights in that stadium as well, especially against Inter, taxi from Wycon on and stuff like that. Away European games. Inter was special. Inter the taxi from Wycon. I was there for that one there. That was an incredible night. Gareth Bale I don't know what happened to him that night. He just went. He went out. He went
He
into him.
exploded. That was his coming of age, wasn't it?
For me, to this day, still to this day, it's still the greatest, one of the most greatest nights ever for a fan to be present in.
Excellent. Now, obviously, Kuva, we wouldn't be able to ask him this question because he's seen every Spurs game, famously, because he's so old. No, if there was one game that you could go back in history, one that you haven't been to watch, a Spurs game from history, which one would it be?
Recent,
no, one in history that before, let's say before you became a Spurs fan yourself.
Okay. Well, two games immediately spring to mind that my memory. It's obviously the 1991 semi-final against Arsenal. Just to be behind that goal when that free kick goes in would be the pivot. Ajax away. I remember I watching it here with my sons. I know I wasn't at the game, but watching it here with my sons and just absolutely losing my marbles when Mora scores his hat trick. Just still get the shivers when I think of that game. Do you know what? I fell in love with that yellow kit that we wore in a cup final against QPR.
Oh,
great! That was it. But you know what? You could say the UEFA Cup win, the triumph at White Hart Lane, winning against Anderlecht. You could
just one.
Ricky Villa.
Not choose any game because you want to go to all of them.
Okay, do you know what? The European Cup final, because it was dramatic, ended up with a penalty shootout, and Tony Parks made the save. I think that would have been great to see that at White Hart Lane. We've seen your team winning a European trophy. Some teams still aspire to win. Some other London clubs, North London ones, especially our rivals, still aspire to win a European trophy. We've done that, and that would have been a great night to be in. Just saying.
Which Spurs player got you most excited when you first heard the news of their signing? We've had some great players, as you know, but which one, when we're getting him, brilliant? I'm really excited.
None of those players that I'm thinking. None of those players. I know I spoke about Ginola and Gascoigne, and Gascoigne was a kid coming. We didn't quite know enough. He exploded afterwards. But for me, honestly, and that was the last one I got excited about. The last player I got excited about signing because he was already a good player coming to Spurs. That was Rafael van der Vaart. Yeah. He was a quality player, and we thought, I can't believe we just signed him. I know Klinsmann would fall in that, but for me, I was more excited when Van der Vaart signed. There's something about when Van der Vaart, we got him in the lastminute.com, and I just thought, did he just really sign for Tottenham? He was an international as well. I was super stoked when we signed him, and to this day, 2023, he is the last proper player that we signed. Not that established himself at Spurs, one that already came with status.
Well, that was it. We used to sign players like that. I think Van der Vaart is probably the only one in the whole of the ENIC era that counts as a good established player that we've signed.
Yeah. No. For
me,
we've
had superstars, but they've become
they become Gareth Bale. People will say Modric. Yeah. They became great at Spurs and afterwards. Yeah. But ones that we signed, I thought, fuck, did we just sign him? That's the last time I said that. And that's 2009. Was it 10? So 12 when he signed? Was it 12? Guys in the chat. I think it was 2012. That's 11 years ago. That's the last time I said wow. 2010. That's 13 years ago. The last time I said wow, us making a signing. VDV is a great signing. I've said that. I think he'll become. He has all the makers to become a really good player.
Sure.
Yeah, and we will look at. I hope to look back and say, do you know what? That was a master stroke of a signing in years to come. But did he make me go wow when we signed him? No, man. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not gonna...
We don't sign top class players anymore. We don't, and we haven't. Other than him, I can't think of a single top class, at the top of their game player that we have signed since 2000. He's the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
Wow.
There you go.
And that says it all. Anyway, to the next question. One, Iggy, one.
Okay, one. Must be a retired player.
And they have to be retired. Have to be retired player that you wish Spurs had signed.
Retired and dead. Diego Maradona.
Not necessarily dead, but retired and dead. Okay, yeah, Maradona.
That's fairly retired, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty retired. You
Diego
don't
Maradona because Diego Maradona because he wore our shirt on the Aussie Art Dealers night. He looked good. He looked bloody good in that kit as well, and we was even close signing because I was at one of the evening things with the Aussie Adidas was there, and he said he tried. He said he had convinced. You know, it was all done, but apparently it was us that didn't want to sign him because he was a little bit too young, and he wasn't sure the investment was worth it, and he went to Barcelona instead. For me, Diego Maradona, 100%. I would have loved to have seen him at Spurs.
Brilliant.
We got another question, Iggy. It's not part
less
of
of that swearing, Mark. Less of the swearing.
Yeah, Mark, that's
pick
a warning
one, kick one, me or Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, what kind of cunt swears on a stream, you know?
I think the pause has just answered that.
There we go. Moving on to the next question.
Yeah, so I had a little bit of a problem with the mic, and I couldn't hear. I don't know if you guys could hear me.
So you've spoken about your love for White Hart Lane. I don't think anyone. I mean, I think we all loved that stadium. We all did. We all have really happy memories of it. But which part of White Hart Lane do you remember most fondly? Which bit is the bit that is like home to you when it came to White Hart Lane?
Do you know what? It's just, you know, all I could say to you guys, right? I loved all of it. There wasn't a part that I didn't love. You know, the Paxton end, it doesn't matter which, you know, the shelf side, of course. There isn't a part of the stadium I didn't love. I loved all of it, and it was just that homely feel. It was great to be there on a cold winter night. And you know, walking it from the high street, approaching it, I can still see it now. The smell of the pies, I see it all, and it's just when I go there now and I walk to the high street, making my way to the stadium, it's just a complete different.
Yeah,
you admire the greatness of the architecture of the new stadium and everything we want. Say whatever, it's an amazing state of the art stadium, but it's just lost for me that. This is White Hart Lane. The Bill Nick Gates, I think, is probably my favourite part. The Bill Nick Gates having that little, you know, just that little. It's only a small stretch of the road before. That for me was my favourite because I used to ride my bike. Yeah, now that I think about it, I used to ride my bike there with my brothers. We used to pull up there and just the Bill Nick Gate. Welcome to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And we just don't have. Where's the last time we've seen him? Welcome to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club anywhere in that stadium.
A question for everyone: is it me, or does that new stadium just seem far too big for, not in terms of capacity or anything, just as a building? When you look at it just seems far too large for where it's situated.
Because everything around, it's like you know, it's like a time warp, isn't it? It's like a time. It's like you've got this UFO in the middle of what looks like now a time warp. The whole thing needs to be, everything around it needs to be flattened out and made it look more like I don't know, Wembley, or perhaps where Man City Stadium all looks, where you've got this grand bit of space and then you've got this stadium there. It's you got houses around, you got buildings, you got chip shops, you got people going about their everyday business, and it's all how it was built many years ago. And then you got this thing just landed on top, and it's humongous. Doesn't feel that it belongs there because everything around it is so old. So that will change, and we all know that that's changing in the future. We know that's going to happen, and I think once that happens, then it will probably be a bit more fitting.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Iggy. Just to add to that, when you look at Lily White House, when Lily White House was there, you were like, "Oh my god, it's kind of like towering over everything." And now you look at it, and it's like
it's a tiny little thing
like,
in a corner.
It's so close to the edge of the stadium. You're like, how the hell does that?
Yeah, just about to see it from a distance. But I miss the old White Hart Lane. I miss the presence, the aura about at the gates, seeing that, this Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, nice, big, bold blue writing. You just don't see that when you go down there. It's just, I don't know. Maybe we're showing our age here, guys, and the new generation won't even remember that. But it is what it is. What can you do?
Nostalgia's
Everything
a
must
powerful
change,
thing,
doesn't
mate.
it?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Speaking of, can you remember an atmosphere, a game, particularly, or even maybe a moment in which? Oh, sorry, what's up, Nick? Oh, yeah, just one. Yeah, just the one. One moment, the loudest or the best atmosphere. It could have been a whole game. It could have been one moment. What lives in your memory in terms of an atmosphere at Spurs?
Right. Antonio Conte season, Arsenal, May. And
the old lane.
White Hart Lane, not the new White Hart Lane.
No, this was the new. The old was great.
Not the question. That's not the question, Iggy.
The question is, at the old lane, what was the lane that you remember?
Sophie, I feel for you. Sophie, I feel for you.
The old lane. I remember one night. It was Newcastle at home. It was Harry Redknapp was in charge, and that was just before the whole him being England manager. And I remember that night we won, and it was just an amazing atmosphere. I remember the vibrations of the stadium beneath my feet shaking. I thought the stadium was going to absolute collapse. And I said to Andy, who had reconnected me back, because I went through a phase where I'd fallen out of love with the whole thing. And he brought me back there, and it was Newcastle. I remember looking at my mate Andy. I said, something special was happening with Harry Redknapp and this team this season. I don't know what's going to happen, but it just feels amazing. The atmosphere was like, it was so special. I would love to tell you what year it was, but I remember the feeling like it was now, and everything was vibrating. The stadium, it was immense. And then it all came apart when Harry Redknapp, shortly after, not even we're not talking about a whole load of games in our head. He was linked with the England job, and he got sidetracked a little bit. It's like almost that voice got him, lost his focus, and before you know it, he was sacked. But I remember that Newcastle at home was amazing. That was one of the best atmosphere I can remember, and I still, when I think about it now, it was. Well, I want to say orgasmic, but maybe it's going a bit too far. But I can't explain the feeling of vibration that was going all over me in that game. Amazing atmosphere. Newcastle at home, it was under Harry Redknapp.
Now, you and I and Nick and others have all sort of shared broken bread together before a game. We've been in places where they've charged £35 for a dish of hummus, a Coke. Yes, I'm looking at you, Spur restaurant on the high street. Yeah, £35 for a plate of hummus, a kebab and chips, and a can of Coke. Needless to say, we've not been back there since. But what's your favourite Spurs, either pub or food stop before or after a game? Where do you really? I mean, if you've had a choice, where do you end up?
Okay, drinking. If I do have it, I very rarely drink on match days. I know, incredibly, but I'm more of a foodie than I am a drinker. But if I have to go for a drink, I like to go to the Antwerp pub. That's because it's a bit out of the way. It's not as crazy as you get on a high street. So the Antwerp pub will be, if I have to go for a drink, it'll be there. Food wise, there's two places. There's obviously the chicken shop or chicken, and Mehmet's burger store, which is which is so if you go toward like is it
Southwest corner.
Yeah, well, yeah. What do we call that now? It's like South meets East, isn't it? It's right
Yeah,
there by
southeast.
the school. Yeah, so that's the Mehmet's. I love their burgers there. The chicken, of course, chicken's like sublime, and of course, drinking. I have to say the Antwerp pub. I mean, there was a nice little atmosphere there when I went last time to watch the game.
Fantastic. There we go. It's been an absolute pleasure walking down White Hart memory lane with you, Iggy. Thank you very much for telling us your recollections. Now, guys, tomorrow is the 1st of September, and it is transfer deadline day. 11 p.m. it shows. We at Shelfside Spurs Show are hoping that a hero turns his back, and we think that we need to push the idea of getting Eric Dyer the move that he so desperately needs.
Yeah.
We are very much of the thought that it is time to get Eric Dyer sold and to think of the children. And I think to do this, what we need to be doing is that we need to be pushing the qualities that Eric Dyer can bring. And my wonderful partner Kim has put together a sort of marketing pack by which we can ensure that Eric Dyer is sold this year in 2023. So first off, I think we should be pushing the idea that Eric Dyer is strong. He's strong, you know. He's powerful. He's also fast. Bear with. Apologies. Just pressed the wrong button. Where are we? There we go. He's also fast. As you can see, these are actual pictures of Eric Dyer in action. You know, you can tell, right? He races cheetahs and wins. But with that strength and with that speed, Eric Dyer is also, he's gentle. You know, look at the tenderness that he brings. Which club wouldn't want Eric Dyer? But more importantly, most importantly, possibly, I think, Eric Dyer is a leader.
A leader of guinea pigs.
He's a leader of guinea pigs, you know? He's there. But what a lot of people don't realize is that Eric Dyer is also a bit of a film star, you know? And there will be media coming, content coming. Dyer, the Eric Dyer story, described by critic Sandy Toksvig as stunning and brave, by Eric Dyer himself as only slightly accurate. Kate Winslet calls the film shite, and Jamie Oliver calls it reactionary bollocks. So yes, coming to the BBC soon, Dyer, the Eric Dyer story. Also, directed by Chris Eubank, Euthanasia Street. Critics are calling it embarrassing, filth, wrong-headed and flaccid, Dyer's magnum opus, and the crazy world of Arthur Brown, starring Eric Dyer, William Shatner, Chris Eubank, and the Hamburglar. Eric Dyer also is going to turn his hand to action movies in The Shark Whisperer, based on the unsettling true story. A man of immense human proportions, says Aston Villaboas. Good heavens, make it stop, says Paolo Tramezzani. The worst defender I have ever seen, says everyone. They doubted his brilliance. Who's laughing now? And for the more fantastical bent people, we have Eric Dyer in The Sword of the Yeast Falcon. Only one man was worthy to lift it. Graham Norton gives it 5 stars. Norton Antivirus gives it 5 stars. McAfee gives it 5 stars. A Danny Boyle film starring Eric Dyer, Danny Dyer, Danny Glover, Danny Kiriakou, and Danny Murphy. Tickets on sale now, only £2 bob. Strictly limited to rubbish cinema. So these are the things. These are the things that I feel we need to be pushing to see if we can get Eric Dyer sold. What do you guys think? Do you think we can do this?
I genuinely want to watch The Sword of the Yeast Falcon. I think that'll be a belter of a movie.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, that poster, just the poster alone is enough
Incredible.
to make you want to watch that film. You know, I mean,
yeah. And some of the others as well. The speed of Eric Dyer, where he's keeping up with that cheetah, even though it's an enhanced cheetah with more legs than usual, which suggests it could run even faster. And yet,
absolutely.
And yet he's able to keep up with them.
Yeah,
amazing.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
The man is a genius. He really is. He really is. So yes, that's our campaign, is to see if we can get Eric Dyer sold in 2023. And I think with material like that, who could refuse, really?
You know? I think we should be expecting a call from Everton any moment.
Any moment now. You know, Phil Baby says he can wrestle a grizzly bear like Putin. It's absolutely true. He can. It is true. So, gentlemen, we have a game. On Saturday. Are we playing Saturday? Is it?
Saturday.
Yes.
Saturday. Against Burnley, who have done seemingly a Nottingham Forest by having signed their 14th player tonight. We're away to them. Score predictions, gentlemen. Let's start with Cooper.
I think after Tuesday it's back to Spurs as normal, isn't it? So expecting a painful to watch, grinding game, very few chances. I think I'll go for 7-3 Spurs.
7-3 Spurs. Good. I like it. Excellent. Iggy?
I'm hoping that we haven't lost Van der Ven for the foreseeable future. I hope his injury is nothing to worry about. With him in the team, I see us winning it, but narrowly, 2-1.
Nick, Burnley, what do you reckon?
I think that it's going to be we're going to move, and Spurs are going to be back on Saturday. So with that in mind, regardless of whether Van der Ven is fit or not, I'm going to go 3-1 Spurs. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with.
Phil Baby is saying 2-1 to Burnley, so he's predicting a loss. Ryan is even worse, sort of even less optimistic. He's saying 56-0 to Burnley. Mark is saying 114-0, and obviously Burnley are the home side, so he thinks we're gonna lose 114-0.
I could see that half time, but we could pull that back.
I think we can pull that back. Yeah, absolutely. David Clark thinks it will be Burnley 1, Spurs 3, Madison 2, 1 from a free kick and 1 for Sonny. Andy G thinks that we're going to be playing cricket, which is a good one. Bobby K says 3-1 Spurs with a Sonny brace. I'm guessing he probably thinks that Madison will score the other one. Sophie is not quite so precise. She thinks the Spurs will win and we'll love Ange again. I can see that happening. And NPR5802 trademark thinks 3-0 with a Richie brace. There we go.
And
that's it. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my panel. Where can we find you, gentlemen? Kuva, where will you be next?
Oh, let's think. I'm probably going to pop up at some time tomorrow on Sava's channel. I'd imagine perhaps Ben and Brian on Tottenham away at some point. We're bound to be in the comments section if nothing else.
Tottenham away? Tottenham on tour?
Tottenham on tour. Oh, love them. You know, anybody that's open for business on there. Yeah. Otherwise,
always welcome at Tottenham away, mate.
Yeah, I know. I always enjoy being
Forgiven.
on the screen with you, Iggy, and like being on the screen with Stell too. So big up Stell. And all the rest of. And otherwise, I'm going to be Saturday night. Bobby K and I with the fantastically cutting and incredibly poignant Spurs review show of Couve and the Kang.
Excellent. Fantastic. So yes, do get over to the Three Spurs Boys and drop them a like and a subscribe. Do please like and subscribe to us. Iggy, where can we find you next?
I'll be doing a video tomorrow morning, guys. Yeah, good morning, Tottenham away. You'll find Mari's going to be doing a stream probably in the next few minutes after this show ends. So if you want to watch North London is ours. Will be him and TJ, who's an Arsenal fan. They'll be having it out. I'm sure there'll be banter, given that we drop points. We went out of the cup, and they dropped points against the same team as well. So there's going to be a back and forth. So if you guys are up late, head over to there and watch Mari and his show. But yeah, I'll be on tomorrow morning doing my Good Morning Tottenham away, and hope that we've signed. It looks like Richie. Someone's put in the chat that Richie is injured. So we may indeed need a striker. Will it be coming through the doors tomorrow? We shall see. Hopefully we will. And let's all enjoy the deadline. The deadline spelled DEAD line when it comes to Spurs.
So thank you very much, Iggy.
Oh, by the way, you get me a T-shirt from the Spurs Supporters Club because you'll be there in New York. So let me know. Remember. Trying to remember that. I'm trying to collect T-shirts from all Spurs supporters clubs. So whoever goes there, I say, let me know.
Yeah, T-shirt. Fantastic. Thank you for joining us, Iggy. Do please go over to Tottenham Away, guys, and drop them a like and a subscribe as well. That'd be great. Really do enjoy your morning shows, Iggy. They're very, very good.
I appreciate it.
So do please go and watch those. Nick, in honor of your trip across the pond, I'm going to ask you the question in an accent that you're going to be hearing a lot. Where the fuck can we find you?
That is like Jersey meets Brooklyn, Italian.
Well, maybe
He could have gone more hardcore New York style.
Hey, you come over here with your fucking soccer. What do you want, huh? I do coffee and Danish. What the fuck do you want? No, Nick, where are you going to? You're going over to New York. You're going over there. You're going to
hurry on, please.
Over there.
Do another 20 minutes of that, Rez. Come on.
Yeah, I love
it. The problem with doing an accent like it's not so much the voice. It's more about the words that you use. A lot of the time I'll say something and it's like, that's not a fucking New Yorker. That's an American. What the fuck are you talking about? So anyway, Nick, you're going to be flying over to the Big Apple. Fly over to the Big Apple. You're going to see all these buildings and stuff, and you're going to drink some coffee and have some Danish, maybe some pancakes in the morning. I don't know. When are you going? When are you coming back? When can we find you on the screen again?
Oh, well, tomorrow.
YouTube royalty heading over to you.
YouTube royalty. Well, like we said at the start of the stream, first of all, I'd like to thank British Airways for recognizing me as the true superstar that I am.
True story, guys.
And so look, we will be flying.
Why are you thanking British Airways exactly? Would you like to tell everyone?
So this afternoon. So I go to log on, and this is so I go to log on to check in, right? And most people know I'm not very good with technology.
No.
Hence how I couldn't find how to add Ben as a mod earlier when he was crying like a bitch. But we fixed that. So I'm logging on, I'm looking at it, and it goes, we have checked you in. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, aisle seat 11E, aisle seat 11F. And I'm going,
that's not what I booked.
How did I was like, what's going on? 11E, 11F. I could understand 10E and 10F, or what 10E and 11E, and I was going, what's going on? So anyway, I left it, and I'm talking to Bobby K, and I'm going, mate, I don't know if it's me or I've just I got up too early today and everything else, and I'm looking at it, and then I go, okay, cool, we'll leave it. Anyway, so I speak to my mum's husband, who used to be a British Airways engineer. He bored me to tears about the plane, the engine, the configuration of the seats.
And I bet it was him that sorted it, and he just cussing him for
the. No, genuinely, no. So it wasn't him that sorted it. So he goes to me, just to let you know, Nick, this last Friday, your flight was cancelled, but we didn't want to tell you because it would ruin your anniversary trip. And I was going, well, no, that would have literally, I'd have been fuming. So anyway, log on, do this. Anyway, of course, I've checked in. I've forgotten to print the boarding passes, right? So I log back in and I'm like, I still don't understand. I still don't, fuck off, mate. I still don't understand. I still don't understand this. Anyway, next thing I see Club World. And I'm like, what? And then I print the boarding passes and it goes fast track. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Basically, on behalf of myself and my wife, who is obviously just as happy as I am, we will be flying business class absolutely free of charge to New York tomorrow afternoon.
YouTube royalty, mate. They realised their mistake. It should have come with an apology as well for even putting you in the original seat.
Yeah.
Do you remember pre-show when you were talking about not dragging stories out too long because they're not worth it?
I was trying to build suspense. I was trying to build drama. I was trying to explain how I was feeling.
And this is the price that you get right here. Look.
Yeah. This is the thanks you get. This is the thanks.
Kate, no one cares, all right? Just because you've got to 400 subs, you've gone all big time, yeah? Get to our level. Fly for free to New York on business class. Then you can start talking about your fucking stories and whether they're boring or not.
The YouTube royalty crown. Once you get that, you can look what happens. The doors open up.
And you can find me on Saturday morning in Flannery's Bar trying to get Iggy a t-shirt or a scarf.
No, don't go all out to get me. If it's there, if it's not there, don't go all out. Don't start asking them where your t-shirts. Where's your merchandise shop?
Iggy, I'm expecting a table. I'm expecting a camera, a sign to say
exactly your royalty. So the shirt will come to you. You don't need to go to the shirt. The shirt will come to you. They'll want you to sponsor them, and they'll have to pay you to wear it as well.
$5 a picture, $10 a signature. What more can you ask for?
New York Supporters Club. Make sure you got your cards ready. Make sure you got your.
Yeah. He demands a specific rider as well. You know, make sure that you get all of those things in. You know, the proper red carpet.
The irony is, we're going around Central Park in the afternoon, and the guy that's taking us on this tour is actually called Barry. So
excellent, fantastic, brilliant stuff. Right. So, listen, friend of mine, pal of mine, have a great time in New York. Enjoy. Give all the Spurs, give all the Spurs fans out there all our love and regard. To everyone who has watched tonight, please, if you haven't dropped a subscribe, please do subscribe. If you haven't dropped a like, please drop a like. Comment, put your thoughts in the comment section. Do tell all your friends about Shelfside Spurs Show. So my thanks to all of you who have been in the chat. And as always, a shout out to Kim B, Ben Kaufman, Stuart, Mark Cousins, David Clark, Andy G, Paddy Hartnett, Phil Baby, Perchie, Daniel Sandoval, Adrian Stroker, Lily White Lane, Stephen Thomas, Paul Lindahl, Coover99, Mr. Box Office, Chris Agambar, Bobby K, Ian Ferguson, Sophie, Simon D, Jammy Git, Phil P, Woo! Roy, Susie, Kate, also known as Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs, NVR5802 trademark, Iggy, Ryan McFarlane, and Alan Sibley. Big love to you all. Thank you very much for joining us. Do please like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.